Hey everybody, it's Marina, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my 5 top favorite fonts using only a ballpoint. So here I've got a couple extra empty pages at the back of my last journal, so I figured I would use them and show you guys my favorite go-to fonts. So these fonts are fonts that I would generally use on a normal either weekly spread or like the top of a monthly spread. So sometimes I don't feel like using a brush pen, so I will just use whatever ballpoint I end up having. Most of the time it ends up being some that I just get from the dollar store. I don't know, I got a whole bunch lying around the house everywhere, so whichever one's nearby is the one I'm using. So the first one that I use is this Faux calligraphy. A lot of people end up using this, but it's really simple. You just make a normal, calligraphy font, and then you go back and fill it back in. So here, I'll show you. So there's normal calligraphy. Sometimes I will just use that at the top of my page as well. But to make it a faux calligraphy style, you end up running back and coloring in all of the downstrokes, so it would look like you'd be using a brush pen. And that's pretty simple. With the ballpoint, I never really get it too accurate. That doesn't really bother me, because I do kind of like the scratchy looking style. So I'll just go over it a couple times, and if there's like little bits that are poking out, that doesn't really bother me too much. So, oh, here you go. Another way you could do that is, instead of coloring it all the way in, you could leave like a bubble. So it's kind of like a bubble letter. And just leave it clear. So that's kind of a fun way you can mix up a different type of calligraphy style. So I'll finish that up. Hey, yo. So these two are definitely my top ones. I end up using those pretty much everywhere just because it's simple, it's elegant and beautiful. So another font I end up using a lot is kind of a tall serif font that is also kind of scratchy. All of these are going to be kind of scratchy. You don't need to make them that way, but that's just how I tend to do them. So this one is extremely tall, and then I just come back and make the lines thicker. So, and all of these also you can apply kind of a bounce style to them. So this one I like to do that bounce style too. So I will see how I make this one a little bit shorter. So there's the tall serif. You can see on the bottoms are where I tend to make it bounce a little bit more. You can do it on the top, but it's kind of nice to have that top aligned, so you can just kind of throw the bottoms of the letters wherever you want them to, and it still looks rather straight and kind of like tied together. So that one is pretty simple. You can kind of apply a brush stroke style to that one by like making the the downstrokes larger and fatter, and it gives a similar look, but it's not exactly the same. So make the horizontal lines skinnier. And every time I do any of these, they're completely different. There's really no consistency. You can see just those two look quite different because they have that fatter vertical line, so it's kind of more defined, and it's bolder and it stands out a little bit more. So coming from that one, I also have kind of a tallish Art Deco, kind of Art Deco style one. And this one is a sans serif font. So it's very similar to my tall serif. So this one I don't think looks quite as nice if you do the bounce, because honestly, if you add a serif to anything, it will make it look a lot more like tied together and professional. So just like put little ends on all of your letters and everything will look way better. But with this one, it is kind of nice to keep those horizontal lines. So it looks consistent and it's all tied together, and there's no, I don't know, it's like a different factor that is creating the formality in it. So that's just the horizontal consistency. So there's that one. You can always color these in if you want. You don't need to, but you know, it depends on what you're looking for in your spread. So far you can probably see that I've been doing a lot of capital letters, because that's kind of like a header is like loud and capitalized. But I have another one that I like to do, which is very similar to the tall serif, except it's squatty, and it has a lot of lowercase letters. So I guess somebody called it in the comments a couple weeks ago, I think it was my February setup, somebody said that it looks like I Dream of Jeannie, and it kind of does. It's really funny, but it's kind of got that 50s, 60s kind of spazzy looking vibe to it. I really love it, but yeah. So let's start on that one. And once again, this is a serif font, so it will look all tied together at the very end. And most of the time when I do these serif fonts, I will go through and make sure that I don't miss any of the ends that I wanted to have a little serif on. So that's that one. It looks pretty good on any page you'd want to throw it on. It's really simple and fast to do. So this one I do use quite frequently. I'd actually say I probably use this one second most frequently. So that's probably my second favorite, this ballpoint font to do. And actually I've got an extra one here. I'll throw this in real quick. So that one's like an angry runic style, kind of like a, I don't know, like a Celtic angry rune font. That one I use in October a lot. It's just super scratchy, very angular, and you know, I don't know, whenever I think of doing this one I always think of like dwarvish writing. I don't know, I'm really into Lord of the Rings, so that's what I kind of think of when I'm thinking about doing that font. So those are my top favorite ballpoint fonts. If you guys have any questions about any of these fonts or any other fonts at all, please leave a question down below. I'd be happy to answer those. I'm also going to be doing a video about my favorite brush pen fonts, so that's going to be coming out pretty soon too. Keep an eye out for that. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye!